What is going on, Crisis Actors? I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Tuesday. It is episode 1119 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here with my returning guest co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, I am Stephanie, aka My Nerdy Home. Happy to be back.
It's been, what, Lisa, like 2 weeks ago? Sounds about right.
It was just last week.
Was it just last? Wow.
I think
that definitely
was.
Returning. Yeah. I'd have to go back and check the time. The shows all tend to run together.
They do.
The more you do. When you're over 1,000, you might as well be on episode 100. You have no idea.
I know.
I don't even know what day of the week it is half the time.
That's true.
I only know because Monday, Wednesday, Friday is when Mary's on. So I know it's a Monday, a Wednesday, or a Friday if Mary's on. Other than that, could be a Tuesday, could be a Thursday, might even be a Saturday. Who knows? Yep. Guys,
who knows?
As always, hit the like button on this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Share the episode out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people in your life that you both love and hate. Everyone, the ones that you like, the ones that you don't like, the more people that you share the show with, the faster the channel can grow. If you argue with them in the comments section about it, that's good for us too. It increases our engagement. And that way, you know, somebody will come in and I never look at the comments, but I do, like, just by virtue of like the YouTube studio, it shows you like 3 of the most recent comments. So that's like the extent of the comments that I see. So maybe share something right there and one day I'll spot it in there. And that's good for us in the algorithm. So what are we getting into today? We have a bunch of stuff to get into, and I am going to change the format up a little bit here. Normally, we do a couple of topics in the intro, then we do the cute of the day or the cute and the cringe of the day, and then we move on to the main topics. Today, I think, because of the breaking news that dropped, we're going to do that first. Then we'll do the cute of the day because afterwards we're going to need a palate cleanser. We're going to need something to put us in a better mood. Then we'll get into just all the topics at once. But that, of course, main story being, as it broke just before we went live today, the passing of Dolly Parton, who's an absolute legend and perhaps in a lot of ways maybe the best of us, at least when it comes to celebrities and our culture. One of those people that really just does have a reputation for being loved by everyone on top of being a country music legend. So we'll share the statement that was released by her, her team. It was like her head of security. It was very interesting. We'll go into a little bit of some of the articles here. And then what I also want to do is I want to share, I just went online. I said, can I get like a mass list of like the good deeds she's done? And of course, I was not able to get like an exhaustive list, but I got a lot of good deeds that Dolly Parton has done for others. And I think that's going to be a big part of her legacy. So we'll look at some of that. But also, we do have a bunch of regular stories to get into today. We are going to talk about Harry Potter. Last week, it broke that Nicholas Hoult, Lex Luthor himself, was supposed to be playing Gilderoy Lockhart in the upcoming second season of Harry Potter, the TV series which premieres this year. He's going to be in the Chamber of Secrets. He has dropped out for scheduling issues. Now, is that believable? It's like creative differences, right? Creative differences is more honest, I think, than the idea of scheduling issues. I don't know if I buy that they sign on for these big money deals. And given that he's an actor that's on the rise in the culture, he's not a nobody by any stretch of the imagination. Nicholas Hoult is a star these days. I don't know if I buy that something just came up. But maybe that's what it is, and he's been replaced by Kit Harington, who voiced Gilderoy Lockhart in the audio version of this. That the actor's audio version, not the great audio books done by both Stephen Fry and Jim Dale, but a recent adaptation. He voiced Gilderoy Lockhart. He is now going to replace him in the live-action series. So we'll get into all of that. We are also going to talk about Taylor Sheridan. If you like any amount of dad TV, you know who he is. He did Sicario, which is one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, but he's probably best known now for pretty much making everything on Paramount Plus. All of the dad TV, Yellowstone, 1923, 1883, Tulsa King, everything. He made Mayor of Kingstown. He just pretty much makes everything over there. He is being sued along with his production company by a woman who's claiming that he stole the idea for Yellowstone from a pitch she gave to him back in 2016. It's interesting timeline-wise because he is said that Yellowstone was in production well before that as a movie for HBO, but As we know, it didn't go into production until 2017 for Paramount. So we'll talk about it. We're also going to talk about Damon Lindelof, who is loved by geeks everywhere. There's nobody on earth who doesn't like Damon Lindelof, and he has a lot to say. I don't know if people can tell if I'm being sarcastic or not, but he did the Watchmen series. He's done a lot of stuff, and he's in the middle of his run with Lanterns right now. And he gave this interview to the Hollywood Reporter talking about his issues with how adaptations are perceived today. So I thought we would go through some of the quotes here. And Steph, I'm sure you have thoughts on what is going on with Lanterns.
Oh yeah, that show is something else.
All right, so we've got that. We've got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready to go, Steph, we can go. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, then let's go ahead. Let's get get the bad news out of the way first. Let's talk about Dolly Parton. If you don't know, guys, this story broke just as we went live today. It was just 20 minutes beforehand. Dolly Parton has passed away at the age of 80. Before anything, there was a video that came out last year when she was having some health issues that was released. It didn't look real to me. Something felt off about it. And I don't know if this was just one of those things where it kind of all snowballs, but she's been canceling events also very recently. She canceled her residency that she was supposed to pick up. She canceled an appearance at Dollywood recently, and it kind of goes to show that when you're a front-facing public person of Dolly's level of fame, it's very hard to hide when stuff like this is happening. And I think the best thing about the bad news for this is that she's not going to be remembered for scandals. She's not going to be remembered for politics. She's not going to be remembered for anything other than music and making a whole lot of people happy and have faith in like the human condition again.
Absolutely. She was just a shining light in this world. I love Dolly Parton. I don't think I love her as much as my mom does. My mom's completely crushed over this news. But yeah, I was introduced to Dolly Parton when I was younger, and the first thing that I watched her in was Steel Magnolias, and I absolutely loved her character, the big hair that she had in that movie. Oh, she was so good in that movie. Favorite song, 9 to 5. I really loved that song. So, I mean, Dolly Parton is just a shining light. She's who you want to be as far as like how she views the world and, just the big heart that she has.
I had never realized, it goes to show what I know, that maybe I knew it and I completely forgot, but I don't think I did, that she was the original writer and performer of I Will Always Love You, because,
Yes.
Whitney Houston's version became so iconic, when The Bodyguard came out, but Jolene, obviously being Jolene, is another song that's just unbelievably well known, where it's one of those ones where you imagine everybody's got that friend who likes to say they were born in the wrong generation because they like music from a prior generation. That's one of those songs that I would think of for somebody who believes that they were born in the wrong generation. I want to share this video. It was shared on her actual X account, but it's been reshared everywhere. So, guys, I want you to listen to this. This is the announcement that was made on Dolly's passing. So, here we go.
Hey, everyone. My name is Brian Seaver, son of Cassie Parton.
I'm
representing.
I had you watch it beforehand because it's
gotcha.
I can't screen share on here, so it's they'll be able to hear it here.
Okay.
So here we go.
Parton and Owen's family today, announcing the passing of my Aunt Dolly Rebecca Parton Dean, sister, sis, Aunt Granny to one generation and Gigi to the next. This video announcement is something Dolly asked of me years ago, before I fully absorbed it as a future reality. As her head of security for more than 2 decades, a role my father Larry held before me, I have imagined the heaviness of this moment, but haven't truly felt it until now. It is an honor that is mixed with absolute pride and great sadness. But sadness lies with us, not with Dolly. Dolly has lived in the light and is in the arms of Jesus, surely met by Carl, her parents, and countless others who have watched her and longed for her to meet them in the heavens. I first went on the road with Dolly as a kid, getting a taste of the road life in the early 1980s. Dolly opened doors not just for me, but for her entire family to reach the potential we didn't even know was possible. Dolly also opened doors for generations of singers, songwriters, musicians, and dreamers from every walk of life and across every continent. By her example, we believed that anything was possible. She never saw a door she couldn't open, and the doors she opened made and changed history. My family and I have shared a lifetime of beautiful memories with Dolly, but so have you. She has always been on your television, your record player, your CD, and on your phone playlist, becoming an extended part of your family whether you liked it or not. Our family and the team she has entrusted with her legacy will work diligently to ensure her spirit will live with us forever. Dolly was a farmer, just like her daddy. He farmed the soil, she farmed songs and happiness. Dolly called me and said she wants to rest in a beautiful bed of plush cotton because after a life wearing heavy rhinestones, she finally deserves to be comfortable and have some rest. Rest in peace, Aunt Dolly, Aunt Granny, Gigi. May God bless Dolly Parton, and may God bless you all. She will always love you.
Even the message itself was just heartbreaking, and
Yeah.
but in a sweet way, right? It was the idea of being laid to rest that way because she's had a lifetime in rhinestones.
Of rhinestones.
It's
I
just,
love that ending. Yeah.
it's just, and clearly this is something that I'm guessing they knew was coming. She's at the age of 80. You're going to do your own estate planning. You're gonna. You've got your life together, so you're able to plan for what comes next. And she's somebody with an unbelievable amount of cultural influence that will live on long, past her physically. She's going to have an impact on the culture for many, many years. I don't know if that's something that will ever run out. I think the most interesting thing about that is it's going to be tied not just to her music, but also to the amount of stuff she has done for various communities. So I don't have an exhaustive list of all of the good that Dolly Parton has done the world, but I've got some of them here. So here's some of the things that Dolly Parton has done. She started the Dollywood Foundation, which was founded in 1988, which was created to boost high school graduation rates in Sevier County in Tennessee. The Buddy program offered $500 to pairs of 7th and 8th graders who both graduated. The local dropout rate fell from 35% to 6%. The foundation continues scholarships and related support to this day. The Dolly Parton Scholarship Fund, which awards $15,000 each to multiple, oftentimes 5, graduating high school seniors in the area who demonstrate a clear plan and commitment to their goals. Additional scholarships have been given in specific cases related to disasters or Imagination Library milestones. She also has the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, which was launched in 1995. Inspired by her father, who could not read or write, it mails one free age-appropriate book per month to enrolled children from birth until they start school, typically around the age of 5, regardless of their income. It began in Sevier County and expanded internationally, the U.S., Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, via their own local partners. By various recent counts, it has gifted well over 250 to 300 million books and serves millions of children, with millions more mailed monthly.
Wow.
That is just incredible. And that's just like on the education side of things for her. She also has a lot of stuff related to disaster relief in her own home region. During the 2016 Great Smoky Mountain wildfires, she created the My People Fund, which provided $1,000 per month for several months, plus additional payments to roughly 900 families who lost homes, with total direct aid reported around 9 to 12.5 million. A related telethon raised more than 13 million. Extra support went to volunteer fire departments and scholarships for affected high school students. She also had, in 2021, Middle Tennessee in the Humphreys County floods. They raised $700,000 in tax relief. During Hurricane Helene, which impacted East Texas, she pledged $1 million to the Mountain Ways Foundation. Her related businesses matched that with another $1 million. She's contributed to medical research. It's incredible.
That's incredible. That is just incredible.
And that's how I feel like most people think of her now. Like, they don't necessarily think of her as a musician, though obviously that was a huge part of her career. She became known as like the good face of what you can imagine a celebrity could be, right? She was married to her husband for decades. He passed last year.
He did, yes. And that was one of the reasons why I think that I read that she stopped her residency or postponed her residency for a while, because she was so kind of depressed about her husband dying, and she needed to really feel that grief and then kind of pick herself up before she was like ready to do another residency, because I imagine being married for someone for like 60 years is, and losing that person. I mean, that is such an incredible, just a horrible grief that you would feel. And it's something that's just not known, in the celebrity world, honestly, staying with your partner for that long. And then after he passed away, I believe she said that she wasn't going to remarry, out of respect for her husband, because when she reaches the pearly gates, she's going to imagine her husband there. And he's going to be like, if she's arrives with someone else, he's going to be like, who are you?
What the heck? He's like,
Yeah.
I was there for decades. Who's this guy? Right? Yeah. I mean,
She kind of made a joke out of it, which was really funny. And he's like, you can stay here and you can wait. I'm going to take my wife. Like, it's so funny. She was so funny. Oh, she was such a big heart.
Only a year too. I mean, that's pretty common, right? Like when you've been married for that long, whether it's broken heart syndrome, whatever it may be, it's not uncommon to hear about people who've been married for decades upon decades to pass close to one another because they just can't imagine what their life would be like without that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
She also,
broken heart syndrome is a real thing.
Yeah.
It really is. And I feel like when you love as deeply as Dolly Parton does, it can really affect you.
She donated over $1 million in donations to the Salvation Army, including in 2023 related to the Red Kettle campaign. The other thing that I thought was most interesting about this, if you want to talk about the idea of staying apolitical, she refused presidential medals of freedom from both Trump and Joe Biden because she didn't want to make a political statement, which is a beautiful thing. And then I also saw this from Trump, who is having flags lowered to half staff.
Wow.
Yes, it says, very sad to report that Dolly Parton, one of the greatest country singers and far beyond ever, has passed away. This is a true loss for millions of people. There has never been anyone like her and never will. In her honor, I am lowering the American flag throughout the United States for 1 week, beginning tonight at 6 p.m. Rest in peace, Dolly. The world loves you.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. And she was apolitical, and I think that when you reach the status of Dolly Parton, it's probably important to stay that way, especially like with the political climate that we have now and that we've had over the past like 10 years. If you accept a presidential medal or say something, make a political statement or something like that, like it can tarnish your fans' image of you.
Have you seen the pictures
simply because of
have you
your
seen
views?
the pictures of Brian I said Bryan Cranston, Kyle Chandler with Bush that have been going around? Apparently, apparently he stood next to Bush and they were there was jokes being made, but it was a different time back then.
Yeah,
we were a less politicized. The general population was less politicized back then than it is now.
Yeah.
So, rest in peace, Dolly Parton.
So sad.
All right. Like I said, we would do our intro topics, but we need to do cue to the day and just have something in the way of a palate cleanser. And I found this one from JNA Love. Darla loves digging through the grocery in the trash bags. Well, Darla looks very happy to. That's a lot of plastic bags that Darla has gotten loose.
I bet she was having fun in that.
So let's do one more. I think we need it today. And then there's another one from JNA Love. Mango and Darla enjoying their cat TV. What is a cat TV? I don't even know. What makes a TV a cat TV? Is it like their own personal television that they have? Or is it just the window? Because the window is the cat TV.
It looks like it's on a channel it's like an animal channel or something. I've seen videos of like dogs and cats watching TV. Do they paw at it too? Do they paw at the bird? I love watching those.
I bet you they did.
Where they paw at what's on the TV.
I bet you they did. All right, guys, if you want to submit your pets for Q to the Day, everybody likes to brag about their pets. It's a universal truth. If you have them, you should submit them to me on X. Tag me in there at Brett Dassimick. Use the hashtag PCCPets on there. That's how I go and find it. I know hashtags are out of vogue these days, but I use it as my way of searching for those. So thank you guys so
Still
much.
helpful.
It is. They do help if you can take the time to go look. It's just like people make fun of you now if you use hashtags. It's like your parents sharing the blatantly AI stuff that you're like, no, mom, a cat didn't actually disarm a guy with a gun.
Yeah. There's a whole Instagram account that I follow that's just that. Like when your mom asks if this is AI and it's just an obviously AI video. It's so funny.
It's like a dog biking down the street.
One was a dog like singing and dancing.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
I envy our parents for being able to be like, are you sure this isn't real? You never know. All right, let's go ahead, guys. Again, let's get started. We've got a lot of stuff to get into today. Let's talk about Disney. So Disney is doing pretty well at the box office this year. They have passed $4 billion, mainly thanks to Toy Story and Devil Wears Prada. Hopper's made some money. Mandalorian and Grogu made, I guess, a little bit of money, but not enough compared to, what it actually costs to make those movies. But if you look at 2025, Disney finished the year with $6.58 billion. Lilo and Stitch, Zootopia, Avatar. Here's the problem, though, guys. The costs just keep costing, and bills keep coming, and Disney is looking for a way to cost cut right now. On an earnings call on August 5th, they were talking about how they are going to try and drive those costs down, and what we're seeing now are the very, very quick repercussions of that. On August 5th, during the earnings call, this is what was said from Josh D'Amaro. We remain highly focused on reducing costs across the enterprise to create incremental capacity to invest for growth, and we are evaluating a variety of levers, including reductions in labor and SG&A. We are midstream in this work and will provide future updates on our progress. If you're wondering what SG&A is, if you don't speak corporate, if you don't use words like synergy on a daily basis, it's I had it here. It was selling, general, and administrative expenses, which covers the day-to-day expenses of running the business that are not directly tied to delivering products and services. So basically, the people underneath there that make it all possible. So what we are seeing now, guys, is major cost cutting by virtue of offering executives voluntary early retirement packages, which is a sign that people are on the way out. They have a person at Disney called a chief people officer. I guess you can't call him a chief employee officer because that would be CEO. So maybe they just called them a chief people officer. Her name's Sonia Coleman. And on Monday, she shared the time-limited company-sponsored early retirement offer, which is their Vero program, which is set to give eligible executives the opportunity to retire now with an enhanced retirement package that recognizes their service and contributions. So, recession indicator?
I think so, and also I think all of the years of Disney just making making products that nobody is seeing, making a lot of toys that nobody's buying, it's catching up to them. And Disney has been pushing away families, which is basically the core of their money over the past few years, and have catered to Disney adults, especially like at the parks. They've catered to the millennials going into the parks and sort of pushing out the families. And it's just losing money. Even the parks are losing money. So they've really relied on the money and the money generated from the parks. And because they've kind of been losing family and really tarnished their brands, they haven't really been in a good money-making, I don't know, a good money making in profit, so they need to do something. And this, having people in positions and executives in positions and giving them raises and stuff and bonuses when you're just not making a lot of money, something does need to be done.
This is happening right now with WWE. Ever since Vince McMahon was removed from power over there, TKO, which is Endeavor, which is Ari Emanuel and all of them, they own UFC, they own WWE. They're running the company in much the same way, which is that they are trying to push out families and get, I guess, people that are independent, single income dinks, dual income, no kids, maybe.
Yeah.
That is the target demographic, whereas they would always talk about how Vince McMahon wanted to make the shows affordable for families to be able to go and see, because the live events are expensive. The same thing is happening with music right now. Tours make, who is the singer? Zara Larson was talking recently about how basically the tours don't make much money these days. They end up, if not losing money, but it's not generating the type of revenue that makes it profitable for all people involved because life is more expensive. Like, you can imagine if you're on tour, just the fact that gas costs what it costs is going to cut into any chance you have of making profits, because your stage, your equipment, and your talent all have to be moved from location to location to location. And this seems to be true of a lot of these businesses right now. There was like this unverified article going around today about how ESPN isn't happy with WWE. People have pushed back about whether that article was real or not, that they were trying to cancel their multi-million-dollar deal that they had with WWE. But the point was more this, which was that they're not getting the return on investment they want for it. And the same thing is happening with Disney with the stuff that they keep talking about. I thought it was funny when do you see that Bob Iger was like investing in was he investing in the Lakers or something like that? Like, Bob,
oh yeah, he bought some basketball team. I don't remember which one.
Said the funniest thing Bob Iger could have ever done is to actually start his own basketball team, since he was never able to build anything from scratch at Disney anyways. He had to buy everything from other people. But like, you go to an Ollie's and it's just all Marvel and Star Wars toys.
All Marvel and Star Wars. Mm-hmm.
Like all of it,
all of it. Yeah, it's all Marvel and Star Wars. It's crazy to see. Like they put so much money and invested so much in these properties, and then just ruined them. It's like, why would you ruin that? Don't you want to make money? Don't you want to be profitable? But yeah, they've invested so much, and there's no return because they've made nothing. They bought into the identity politics of everything and tried to push that, tried to change all of these properties, turn them into girl brands, and it failed.
That was what I was going to ask. I said, does you kind of agree with the notion that they turned Star Wars into a girl brand? They turned Marvel into a girl brand.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely do.
Like Phase 4 Marvel obviously being the best example of that, or I guess Daisy Ridley with what was going on over at Star Wars at that time. And it does feel like I don't know if the 4-quadrant movie is even possible anymore, at least not that well. It's like, it almost seems better when you look for a specific target demographic, and then that target demographic is just always going to have people. There was always women that loved Star Wars. There was always women that liked Marvel comics, but in general, the idea was that, if the guys are going to go to it with their girlfriends, that's one thing, but, you don't cater to the outlier demographic for that genre. It's why Taylor Sheridan is so successful with what he does, and we'll talk about him later. He found an underserved demographic. In fact, in a lot of ways, you might be able to thank Marvel and Star Wars for Taylor Sheridan's rise to prominence, as, the dad TV, as it's called, is made up mostly of men that would have been around when Star Wars was at its peak of popularity, right? And
oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's why Minecraft made so much money, because you have that demographic of young men that just aren't being served. They're not being taken into consideration when it comes to movies and entertainment, and if anything, like, men are being villainized. So that's why I really think that's why Minecraft made so much movie. That, and it's one of the biggest games of all time. But also, like, Backrooms, a lot of young men went and saw that. What's the other one? Obsession, a lot of young men went and saw that. So that is a demographic of people that haven't been served proper entertainment in a long time, and kind of been pushed out in favor of trying to get the woman demographic, because in all fairness to these studios, we do spend a lot of money. Women do spend a lot of money. However, that doesn't mean that by catering to us, we're going to be spending a lot of money on your property to go and see your movies and buy your merchandise. That doesn't mean that. If we're not already interested in something, it's not like we're going to be interested in it later, even if you cater to us.
I think the old marketing saying was like, you market towards women because even if they're not the ones working, they're the ones in control of the pocketbook in the home. So even if you are, no matter who you are, you market towards women, because even if dad is the one at work making the money, the mom is the one handling the finances at home. So it was always seen as like you market that way. But that's different with entertainment, because entertainment is so specific to personal taste, and they really do have, gender breakdowns on the things that they like. The shows that women like are never going to be, and to be fair, I always like the meme where it's like men should take over Hallmark movies and just start making like Hallmark movies about women in bikinis, because we need representation in movies. The idea was that the Hallmark writers know exactly who their demographic is, and they cater shamelessly to that demographic, and it makes them tons of money every year.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Like, there is nothing wrong with that. Disney Star Wars, starting off with the Force is female, from the head of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy. I said Kathleen Kennedy was just a complete slap in the face to all of the people who have been supportive of Star Wars this entire time. Alienating your fan base is not a great way to start off your new Star Wars.
I have heard people say that they make the argument that it's the purview of like really, really dumb capitalists to basically say like, okay, we've got this audience, but if we want to continue to grow, we need to get a new audience, not understanding that the better thing that you can do is remain consistently a product that delivers for that audience. And if you reach a level of mass appeal because you just hit such a market share, like a Hallmark, right? Like Hallmark has their demographic, but Hallmark is everywhere, and they're not sitting there trying to make stuff for dudes. But yet they control the greeting card sector. They have their own television channel. They have their own streaming service. They're not worried about what some other company is doing. They're making what they know works, and it's continued to deliver their return on investment for everything that they make. The idea that they couldn't have done that with like a Star Wars or a Marvel is silly, especially when you think about the other things that Disney owned at the time. So you can make your movies that cater to male comic book fans, especially at that time, because you had plenty of people from normie culture that were looking to get into that as well. And then you have your Disney princess movies, which can cater to your female demographic, the moms and the daughters. And if they have a son who wants to go see it, I guess you can bring him too. But you don't make the movie for him. You make the movie for the girl who wants to be a princess one day.
Right. And if you want to put some empowerment stuff, you put it in those Disney princess movies. And that's basically what they've been doing. But if you want to cater to a lot of people, you're going to have to change your product. And that's what they did. And ultimately, it's going to be a product that it's just not good. The quality is not going to be there. And that's basically with a lot of things. If you want to talk about the capitalism thing, because you're going to change the product, then the quality is going to go down.
And it wasn't just these pay packages for retiring executives. I also saw this, which was Disney tightening spousal support health benefits. It must be like morale must be really low over there right now. So it says the company will no longer allow spouses or domestic partners to join Disney-sponsored health plans if they have access to coverage through their own employer. So I guess the idea is like maybe if like, your husband works at Disney and your wife works at a smaller company, Disney offered a better healthcare plan, so she wouldn't take it through her job and would just take it through her husband's insurance or whatever. They're not going to offer that anymore. If your wife or your husband works for another company, this takes effect in 2027. Says, like a growing number of large employers, we're making measured adjustments to our employee benefits in response to rising healthcare costs nationwide. Well, I'm sure, if we're talking out there in California, they're unbelievably high as well. We will be communicating these changes in more detail with our employees over the next few weeks. I would hope you told them first and not release this. As always, I know,
this is how they found out.
As always, we remain committed to providing our employees with a comprehensive package of high-quality coverage and other benefits that support their total health and well-being. It just seems like really bad morale over there.
They're really looking at a lot of cost-cutting measures. Dang.
And it's
I did not know that. That is wild. But it makes sense. I mean, they haven't been catering to their audience for years. For years. I mean, what did they expect? I think that they bought into that that idea of that fictional audience that's going to make them billions and billions of dollars, and it just wasn't there. It was a fake thing. It was a DEI lie that they bought into.
and Disney has nobody to blame but themselves. And Josh D'Amaro, you know, he's gonna. I wonder if Bob Iger's going to come back again. Sometimes I feel like he can't quit. Like, I guess he'll be too busy now with his NBA team. But, you know, a lot of this is like Bob Iger spent a fortune buying up other properties only to then devalue all of them to such an extent now where I had questions earlier this year, and I don't believe that they were unfair about whether Doomsday was going to make as much as Spider-Man. Spider-Man just passed Avengers Endgame as the highest grossing Marvel movie ever at the domestic box office. And guess what? It's a Sony movie more than it's a Marvel Disney movie.
Yep.
Yeah, $20 super chat here. Hold on here. There's my mouse. From Pop Culture Junkie, who says, when Kennedy produced... Hold on, my computer's going crazy. When Kennedy produced the sequels, she attempted to attract a massive new audience instead of keeping the existing one and gradually nibbling at adding additional fans. Big mistake. Yeah.
It was. You bought the property with a built-in audience. You could have catered to that audience and made something special and have been profitable for years to come. And instead, they wanted to cater to the girlies, and the girlies just didn't come. And like you said, girls have been a part of Star Wars. They love Star Wars. There's a lot of girls who already loved Star Wars. And they were already Star Wars fans, like myself. They're already Star Wars fans. You didn't need something specific to me to get me to like it. It was already appealing.
Like, maybe they make like a Stanley Cup in the shape of a Death Star. That could get the Target girls on board and get them to come to the Star Wars movie.
Girls.
The ones, have you ever seen the meme that says, like, it's all the girls taking the fall photo with the blue jeans on and, like, the Burberry coat? It says, if all the spellings of Ashley was a photo. It's like, that's who they were trying to get involved here. They wanted to get the middle America girls to go and see Star Wars, and it was never going to work.
The ones that buy into trends. But what happens is when you get those trend girlies, they'll jump on it when it's trendy, when it's hot, when they can get some TikTok likes, and then they jump off the bandwagon. They don't stay. They're not lifelong fans. They're people who follow trends. And once those trends die and aren't valuable to them anymore, they'll leave.
Ask a Taylor Swift fan what their fantasy picks are for the Kansas City Chiefs. I guarantee you they don't know much about football outside of Travis Kelce and maybe Patrick Mahomes, because they don't like Trump and they think that his wife is like a Trump guy. So, like you said, trends rather than actually being interested in it. So, all right. I need you to give me your perspective on what's going on at DC with the merger, because I saw a couple articles that came out today. Well, one was from the other day, and then another one was a follow-up from James Gunn. Basically, the James Gunn article was debunking what was being said about Batman, the Brave and the Bold, which has been in production seemingly for a lifetime, like forever, since The Flash came out. If you guys don't know, Andy Muschietti, who made masterpieces like The Flash, everybody here knows that I am the one person who liked the Flash movie.
Oh, so, my goodness.
To be fair, I thought that Ezra Miller, certainly I wouldn't want to be around him if there was a chair anywhere, and I certainly wouldn't want to be around him if I was a woman. But as far as playing both versions of Barry Allen in the movie, I thought he did perfectly fine. That was directed by Andy Muschietti. CGI notwithstanding, he's more well known for the It franchise, I think, and Welcome to Derry. Well, he's supposed to be writing and doing the Brave and the Bold, he's directing the Brave and the Bold, not writing the Brave and the Bold.
He's directing, yeah.
And now there was this thing going on the other day that said that it was on hold because of the merger. James Gunn says no, it's still going forward. Do you even buy that, given how long this thing has been in production hell already?
I mean, considering a lot of other projects like Robert Pattinson's Batman Part 2 has been pushed to when the merger is going to be done, hopefully, right? There's been other projects that have been pushed from DC to a time period after the merger. It's not hard to believe that Batman Brave and the Bold would be on hold until after the merger. But James and also like James Gunn's contract, I believe, is over like either before or after the merger. I can't even remember. So it's not hard to believe for people to jump to that conclusion, like, oh, they're waiting for it to be done, for the merger to be done. That's not that big of a conclusion to jump through. Andy Muschietti, I really liked it. Welcome to Derry and the movies. Those were really good. The Flash. We have differing opinions on the Flash.
Look, I'm not saying
on the Flash movie.
saying I would rewatch. Actually, I did try to rewatch it. I remember when I got to him putting the baby in the microwave, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this right now. But I enjoyed I thought there was some emotional resonance around the story with his mom. I guess more than anything, like not to withstand the fact that the movie was way too long. And bloated with the horrible CGI. I guess I'm a sucker for that type of story, but I don't know if like that movie, like I said, my opinion notwithstanding, nothing about that movie screams give this guy another project. It's like giving Anna Nagira another project at DC after Supergirl bombed.
Yeah, that's true. And I agree the stuff with the mom was good, but then Barry learns no lessons towards the end of the movie. So you know what? You can have the good stuff with the mom, but he doesn't learn the lesson. But no, with DC, like it's not hard to jump to those conclusions that they're waiting for the merger to be done, you know, before pushing a lot of projects, especially when you have the head of DC Studios and all of the things that he has greenlit has been losing money. Like it hasn't been profitable since he's taken over. So putting things on pause or pushing project dates makes sense until after the merger, because they don't know what the future of DC will look like, considering his contract will be up.
And that's the other thing. So there's basically even I'm sure there's more than a few people who watch this show that spend too much time on X. If you do, there is a constant civil war going on at DC between Snyder Bros and James Gunn fans who they deem gun bots, which I don't think is the most creative name I've ever heard in my entire life, if I'm being completely honest. But like one of the things they use as an argument for James Gunn has more to do with the fact that they're like, look how critically successful these are. Now, that metric means nothing to anybody. No. Like, I think it's worth mentioning most of the time because I think it's interesting to see. I feel like these days audience scores end up being higher than the critic scores most of the time anyways, because people aren't even they're not even bothering unless they know it's something that they're going to go and like. And then half the time I feel like it's Stockholm Syndrome. They're like, I paid $100 to go see this movie with one other person. I'm gonna say I liked it, even if I don't even necessarily believe that. Mm-hmm. But the thing is like critical acclaim doesn't pay the bills. But since the pay structure for how streaming drives growth and revenue is so, I guess, amorphous at best, like nobody really knows how that really drives business in a lot of ways. The box office is obviously a more surefire way of knowing what's driving audience interest. That's why I was harder on Superman, despite the fact that I thought the movie was fine. I said that the amount of money is it's not enough. Because, yes, 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or however long, 2008, when Iron Man came out, it was a different world. Cinematic universes weren't really a thing. You can get away with making less money at the box office in those early iterations. Now, first of all, Warner Brothers is always on the verge of being sold to someone. So they need to prove they need to prove worth right away. And unfortunately, and they tried to do that with Batman vs. Superman. They tried too quickly and it ended up backfiring on them. But they needed to prove some level of cultural influence right away. And despite the fact that I don't think it was the worst movie I've ever seen, nothing about, what was it, $616 or $687 million says to me, we definitely need a sequel. We definitely need to build a film franchise on James Gunn's back. And I think that David Cornsweet's great as Superman. He was the best part of Supergirl. He was. For the 2 minutes he was in the movie, I'm like, this just makes me want to go back to a Superman movie. It doesn't make me want, them to bring, Superman into a Supergirl movie. I want them to take Supergirl out of her movie and put her in a David Corenswet Superman movie. So, look, I don't see any other projects on the horizon that are going to turn things around. Maybe Man of Tomorrow, I guess, but the rest of it's all streaming slop. It's the Gorilla Grodd show, and it's
Gorilla Grodd show.
How do you feel about that one?
I think that's another way of them catering to the girlies as well.
Explain.
That's how I see it, because Gorilla Grodd is a Flash villain. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he's in with Jimmy Olsen, but you have the Gorilla Grodd true crime show. Like they're making it true crime like. And what's the demographic of people who watch true crime? Yeah. It's the girlies. The girlies are watching true crime, and I think this is another way of them trying to get girlies on board with DC. Because you have this character of Jimmy Olsen, who in the Superman movie was desired by all of these women. It's not explained. We don't know why they like him or are even attracted to this guy. But for whatever reason, the girlies can't stop looking at Jimmy Olsen. There's just something about him. Even the villain's girlfriend is pining over over him. So and then you give him his own TV show. Was anybody asking for a solo Jimmy Olsen show? No, nobody was asking for that, but they put him in this movie, had him get desired by all the girlies, and then gave him his own show, which is going to be like a true crime comedy.
I feel like this is an idea, a delusion of sorts that streaming had, that people had towards the idea of superheroes on streaming 2 decades ago, which was okay, we'll get the big budget cosmic stuff with the universe level threats on the big screen, and we'll tell smaller stories on the small screen with characters that maybe don't rate their own movies. But what Marvel Television has proved us on Disney Plus is that doesn't work either. You pretty much have to use your movie level characters on television if you want the shows to drive interest. None of those outside of Loki, which again, movie level villain. Mm-hmm. For the most part, they didn't really drive audiences, and they've never been able to prove that they're able to really execute those concepts well enough.
No. And I watched Loki because that was what I honestly don't remember what even happened in Loki. That's how poor the writing is in a lot of these shows, is that I'll watch them and I don't remember what happened in these shows, but I know that I've watched them. That's how I gauge the writing in it. I really don't remember what happened with Loki. The only thing that I can remember is that they pretty much ruined his character, and they ruined the Infinity Stones, and they're using these shows to really just ruin a lot of these characters that we've grown to love. A lot of them, even with Hawkeye. I watched Hawkeye. I watched the Hawkeye show, and while I do like the new, I can't remember her name,
Haley Steinfeld.
In the Hawkeye show.
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop, thank you. I do like her. At the very least, in the Hawkeye show, she actually expresses some admiration for that male character, whereas in the previous shows, the male characters just get kicked in the nuts. At the very least, she expressed admiration for Hawkeye. She looked up to him. She wanted to be like him. But then they ruined Kingpin, and they introduced
ruined
Echo.
Kingpin in that.
Yeah. So, so they're using these shows to ruin their characters, and I just don't understand the thinking behind that.
Kingpin got destroyed more than any other character. I think nothing that I've seen from Kingpin after the end of the Netflix series feels anything like the guy who decapitated a Russian gangster with a car door. It's really, really sad.
Yeah.
I liked Hawkeye too, and I'm kind of in the same boat. And I feel like a lot of people are. I see the sentiment more and more on social media, which is, I think part of it has to do with the long gaps between seasons and the fact that none of this stuff has rewatch value. And I feel that way about almost everything that comes out these days. I don't think there are any shows that would be the big budget things that I have rewatched. There's a couple that I've rewatched because they were low time investments and they were more in my wheelhouse. There was a show called Almost Paradise starring Christian Kane of Buffy of Angel fame. And I rewatched that one a couple of times because it was like basically a procedural. It was only 10 episodes long and it was only 2 seasons. And I really, really enjoyed it. But it wasn't something I rewatched because it was great storytelling. It was basically light fare that you put on in the background. When was the last time somebody found a new show that was supposed to be some type of highbrow appointment television that was really worth rewatching? Would it have been Game of Thrones in the early seasons? So we're going back to the 2010s?
Yeah, there are people who are going back and just rewatching that there's people rewatching Game of Thrones right now that, you know, their tweets are going viral because they're watching Game of Thrones for the very first time. And a lot of people who are Game of Thrones fans are looking at it and just like, oh no, she doesn't know what's coming. You know, even though the final couple of seasons weren't as good as the beginning of Game of Thrones, people are going back and rewatching. That stuff has rewatchability. Like even when I want to rewatch something, I'll go back and I'll rewatch Game of Thrones. I'll rewatch The Walking Dead. I'll rewatch something like the early seasons of Grey's Anatomy. Things like that those things have rewatchability for me. Right now, like even watching Lanterns, going and watching a new show feels like a chore because you know it's not going to be good. There was one show that I was really looking forward to because it looked so wholesome. The trailer looked so wholesome for the show, and it was Little House on the Prairie. And then it was like the new Little House on the Prairie. They were redoing it. And with the trailer looked incredibly wholesome. It looked so good. And then you go and you read the synopsises, you read the critic reviews and things like that, and I'm just like, oh, it's going to be a conversation and a lesson on colonization, and I don't really want to watch a show about that. I was looking forward to the wholesomeness of it. So a lot of people were telling me just go and watch the original because the original was really good. You know, if you want that wholesomeness, go watch the original Little House on the Prairie, not the new one. Because they're just going to be telling you a lesson, teaching you a lesson, trying to have a conversation about colonization.
That's why I don't want them, anytime they make announcements about shows that I used to love possibly coming back, I just say, don't do it. Like, I don't want, like, most of the stuff that I love was a product of the time that it was made in. So the burn notices and the white collars of the early 2010s, the world was just a lot less complicated. The creatives were a lot less complicated. And I was trying to explain to somebody the other day, because Bruce Campbell was talking about how, like, they were talking about making new episodes of Burn Notice, about how it'd have to acknowledge how complicated the world has gotten. I'm like, it was a show where stuff blew up, okay? I don't need to know how complicated the world is while I was watching it. They were going to bring back White Collar. Well, White Collar was a show that was unabashedly... it was unafraid to show people of wealth without being like judgmental necessarily about people of wealth. I mean, there was bad guys that had money, but in general, it was seen as something that was aspirational, usually by people who were using illegal means to get there. But those people were the part of the protagonists. So I was like, I don't want to see what the modern version of a Hollywood writer's room does with not even if they brought back the old writers, right? The world has changed. They've likely changed. And you're not going to be able to recapture the magic of things made in the 2010s by trying to do it again just because the actors are the same or the characters still technically exist. There's no point in that. Like, no. There are shows that I've found in the last couple of years that I've really, really liked that are mostly, again, they're not made for my generation. They're made for older people. I really liked High Potential, which was it's an ABC procedural starring Caitlin Olsen, and it's got its own version of, you know, rah-rah feminism in there, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Best Medicine, which was 10 episodes, was fun, but it's just a less good version of another British TV series. And you're like, it feels like your options these days are basically to be underwhelmed or underwhelmed by the content or overwhelmed by like 8 episodes that are all an hour and 45 minutes long.
Yeah, very true.
Like all,
and now it's like, I'm very cautious as to where I spend my time, you know, in watching shows, because I don't want to invest in something that's just going to be terrible. Yeah. You know, that's why I think that's why word of mouth carries nowadays, you know, because especially with movies, but also with TV shows, because that's your time, you know, that is your time. You go to work And when you come home, you want to relax and you want to spend your time doing something worthwhile. If you're going to invest in a show, it has to be in a show worth your time investment. If you're going to go and you're spending your money on a movie, it has to be a movie worth your money because you work hard for that money. And let's face it, you could be spending your money on something else that's better right now with the economy. Then, people are relying on reviews. They're relying on word of mouth to say, hey, this is worth it. You should go and watch it.
I don't take that responsibility. I tell everybody, I said, I'm going to share my thoughts with you on this. You can go back and look at my old reviews, and if you agree with stuff I've said, that's fine, but don't take this as because that actually is a responsibility to be like, hey, spend your money on this. Don't spend your money on this. I did not like the first episode of Reacher season 4, but since then, all 3 subsequent episodes have been really, really good in my opinion. And I post about it, and everyone's like, I hate Alan Richardson, I'm not watching it. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I can't make you watch it, but I'm not telling you to watch it anyways. I'm just telling you what my thoughts are on it. I've enjoyed it. And most of the stuff that I like about it doesn't have anything to do with Alan Richardson. It has to do with the guest cast for the show. Mark Blucas is great. Kathleen Robertson is an underused. Did you ever see the show Boss starring Kelsey Grammer?
No.
He was like a Chicago. He was basically an alderman or a politician. It was one of those early, kind of like a House of Cards, but even probably maybe even before or at the exact same time as House of Cards. Kathleen Robertson was great in that. She was great in Murder in the First with Taye Diggs. And I was like, okay, I can clearly see that they're building to more with her, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited where her character looks like it's very clearly working up to something down the line, but most of the people didn't even want to hear it. They just want to complain because they don't like the actors involved in it, which I get, but I was like, that's not my job to tell you to watch something based on whether an actor says something stupid or not, because then I'd never be able to recommend anything to you ever.
Yeah, but see, that's the downfall of the celebrity right there. Because Alan Richardson is someone who I've always known is super left wing.
Oh yeah,
since he was on Titans, that's where I first saw him. But I liked his casting in Reacher. I liked his acting in Reacher. I think he was doing really well in Reacher, and he fits that role so well. Yeah. The problem is with Alan Richardson is that he is alienating his audience by, not having the opinions that he does, but speaking out so boldly about it, not apologizing for it, and, basically calling half of his audience idiots. So that's the problem with Alan Richardson is, are you going to be catering to that audience that you're calling idiots and be successful?
He is too. He said he wants to make more movies in the same vein. That's his. It's almost antithetical to his worldview, because his worldview is that of sit down, men. It's time to give women a chance at action movies. And it's funny because in general, he was in a movie called Ordinary Angels. He's really good in it. He's not believable as this down on his luck dad. I was like, okay, they're not built like that in the small towns, but sure. But it's great. And funnily enough, he is a Christian. So he has a Christian YouTube channel that I don't know if he posts on anymore, but very open about his faith, but hates Catholics. And it's so weird how all of that comes together. One thing I will give him credit for in Reacher that I love, he has separated himself from Tom Cruise. I couldn't get a good screenshot. He's an ugly runner. He does not run in a streamline. When Tom Cruise runs, he's halfway between panic and good form. Alan Richardson runs like this in the show. It's the most uncoordinated looking runner maybe because of all the muscles, but I've never seen anybody run that ugly before.
Tom Cruise is the standard for running in Hollywood. People really want to. I think the guy, the star of Severance, he had a scene in Severance where he had to run down a bunch of aisles, and he said that he really was trying to go for that Tom Cruise looking run when he was doing his scenes. So he is the gold standard for running scenes. It's so funny.
Alan Richardson
he does have a weird run.
It's an ugly run. I noticed it the other day. I was I was watching it on TV. I was I need a screenshot of this, because there's a couple of press photos of him running, and of course they got really, really good. He looks like he's got runner's form, looks like a New Balance ad, but then, of course, if you were to go to the next frame, his arms are like flailing and up in the air. It's... I would recommend, if you liked Reacher, the other seasons of Reacher, especially if you liked all of them, because season 2 and 3 are not even close to as good as season 1. So far,
yeah, that's very true.
Season 4 is about on par with season 3, which was fine in the first 4 episodes and then lacked in the last ones. And everything's better than season 2, which was just an absolute waste of Serinda Swan, who's a great actress, and they just... that season was just absolutely awful.
Yeah, I still need to catch up on Reacher. I haven't watched season 3, although I do know that it's not as good. Season 1 is really, really good. Season 1 is the best season. And I've always said, like, I like Reacher. I don't mind Alan Richardson, but I disagree with his politics. If you can separate the actor from the person that they are playing, then I think that you'll enjoy at least season 1 of Reacher, because it's really good.
It is funny because you mentioned like him specifically for the types of movies that he's making, because like whenever we talk about pop stars saying stupid stuff, I don't criticize it. I'm like, that's their audience. They love this stuff. Like they're not them criticizing conservatives does nothing but help them in their demographic, because conservatives aren't listening to Ariana Grande, at least not the vast majority. There's some Trump supporters that also like cross over into the Taylor Swift fan base, but she's more polished than the average pop star. The rest of them, it's a virtue signal that actually benefits them to talk about it. It doesn't help Alan Ritchson at all.
No, it doesn't. I think social media has completely ruined celebrities. That's why you don't have celebrities anymore. You know, people would go to support a celebrity. People would go and watch a movie like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie because it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. But social media has ruined celebrities. And I always go back to the lockdowns during the pandemic, when celebrities came on and they live completely different lives than your everyday American. They have a completely different home. They have a completely different tax bracket. All of their entire life is just lived in a little bubble. So of course, taking a few months off of work is not going to affect them as much as it would an everyday American who's going to lose their job if they're unable to work. So, so them, you know, going on social media and saying like it's going to be okay, singing songs to heal America was completely out of touch. And people really saw through that. You know, they're miserable at home, and celebrities are just like, you know what, I think I'm going to go and take a trip in my private jet to a secluded island. Like I believe Kim Kardashian did that for my birthday. We understand it was completely like shown to America that they live completely different lives. Whereas before that, like, we don't really see much of celebrities outside of like magazines or whatever. Sure, social media gave us a little peek into their lives, and it was very carefully curated. After that, they would just post whatever. Yeah. They would say whatever, to where we know way too much about celebrities now, way too much about their politics, way too much about their lives. And honestly, I don't care about it. I just want to be entertained by that. And if you're going to tarnish my image of you, you're going to tarnish my enjoyment and excitement for a project that you're in. Like with Mark Ruffalo. If Mark Ruffalo's in a project, I'm just like, oh God, I really don't want to go and watch that. Like, it has Mark Ruffalo in it. He's become so insufferable to me that I'm unable to just have any type of enjoyment in a movie that he's in.
That doesn't happen. Like, as annoying as Alan Ritchson is, the funniest thing about it is, like, his Reacher voice is vastly different than his very high voice that he uses in his interviews. He's like me. He gets really excited and his voice goes up like 2 octaves. I was like, he just needs to do one scene where he plays Reacher, but he does his like high-pitched voice.
His normal voice, yeah. It is really funny because like he'll go on lives or he'll make a video of himself like singing or talking, and it's very different than his Reacher voice. It's so different, but he hasn't. I think like Alan Richardson hasn't become as insufferable for me. So like you can just like watch something and enjoy it, and just realize that like, oh, okay, he has a different political opinion to the point where are you insane? But I can still enjoy stuff that he's in. Where I feel like Mark Ruffalo is just. I would rather just him be I don't know an activist full time than an entertainer.
All right. So. We've covered pretty extensively on this channel. I've especially done several videos with Blabs from Side Scrollers about everything that's going on with Harry Potter. Obviously, as we know, J.K. Rowling is always pissing off somebody on the internet, and that leads to all sorts of news that comes out in relation to the casting. Now, season 1 of the new Harry Potter television show that's going on HBO Max comes out at the end of this year, and they're already casting and getting ready for season 2, which they're going into production with soon. And one of those castings was Gilderoy Lockhart, which was supposed to be played by Nicholas Hoult, who you guys know as Lex Luthor in Superman, which is a fellow project over there at Warner Brothers. Well, he has already, this was just announced like at the end of the week last week, he is already out, and they are claiming scheduling issues. Now, I want you to let me know if you believe this, right? So this is what it says. HBO had to work around 2 pre-existing Holt projects when filming the Gilderoy Lockhart scenes that they had to shift in season 2's production schedule, which means that it was no longer feasible because they had to move stuff around and they had to let him out of his deal. So I was like, what projects could those be? So he's got a movie coming out called How to Rob a Bank, which is already in post-production, so I don't think it's that one. It could be Man of Tomorrow, which is 85 days into production, which means it's close to done, but Superman was like a 153-day production shoot, so I imagine that it'll be similar in length, which means it's going to be shooting for at least the next couple of months. And then he has another thing coming out called Mosquito. Maybe it's that, but I don't know if I buy that even with those date shifts that they were just like, he was like, you know what, you had to shift it. I gotta, especially this soon after, that suddenly he's like, oh crap, I've got something on the schedule. Do you think it was scheduling, or do you think there was just too much backlash to the fact that he was playing something in a J.K. Rowling created production?
I had to check. I had to double check because with the merger and stuff being on hold, I wanted to see if there were any production delays in Man of Tomorrow that he's currently filming, but so far, no. So far, there are no production delays. I liked Nicholas Holt's casting as Gilderoy Lockhart. I was actually really excited for that casting because I think that he's a great actor. Them bringing in Kit Harington is great because Kit Harington is a huge Harry Potter fan, and he already played Lockhart in the audiobooks, and he played it really well. He played that part really well.
Did you listen
so
to them?
He's
Did you
coming
listen to
back.
them?
He's said that he's like really excited. Yeah, he played him in the audiobooks.
No, I'm saying, did you listen to them?
Yes, he did very well.
Okay. Like I love both the Jim Dale version of the books and the Stephen Fry, the English, the American and the British versions of them. I can't bring myself to listen to other versions of that. Like I listened to those on cassette tape when I was young.
Oh, yeah, no, the full cast audio versions of the Harry Potter books that they just put out like last year, was it last year? They're really good.
Okay.
They are really, really good. I would give them a listen. So he plays Gilderoy Lockhart in that. And he's come out and said that like he's going to play, he's already played it, so he's already very familiar with the character, both voicing him in the audiobooks, but also because he's a big Harry Potter fan, and that's one of his favorite characters as a Harry Potter fan. He said that he's very familiar with the character, and he is going to be playing this character a little bit differently than he did in the audiobooks, because it's different when you're doing audio and then, playing the character as an actor, but he's really excited. So this casting is still good, right? It's still a good casting. Now, Nicholas Hoult leaving, because there's no production delays in Man of Steel. I'm sorry, in Man of Tomorrow. Yeah, in Man of Tomorrow.
They should change the name.
Don't confuse those.
They should change
goodness.
the name of the movie to Man of Steel, Man of Steel 2027, and just watch people's heads explode.
Ever since his casting was announced, he has gotten a lot of backlash on Instagram. He has gotten a lot of backlash on Instagram from the the people who do not like J.K. Rowling, and have tried to pretty much get every single actor attached to this project off of this project. Like they've, I believe, what is his name? The one who's playing Dumbledore.
John Lithgow.
Yeah, John Lithgow.
Yeah.
John Lithgow has said that he's had some backlash in regards to his casting. A lot of the people who are cast in this show have received a lot of backlash with their casting, and they've had to either come out and say like, I am going to be doing this, you know, despite her views, or they've had to come out and say like, I don't agree with her views at all. But as
Bel
a fan of the
Powley.
franchise, I want to stay on the project and I'm not going to leave the project. Whereas Nicholas Hoult hasn't really said anything in regards to the fan backlash or in regards to J.K. Rowling. So the pressure, I mean, could have gotten to him, but I mean, who really knows?
Bel Powley, who's going to be playing Petunia in this series, she said something similar recently where she basically said like, I disagree with J.K. Rowling's opinions on trans people, but I was a big fan of the books. And so I feel like there's a couple of categories here. So stay with me on this one. So you've got a couple of categories. On one hand, you've got a John Lithgow. He's got FU money. He can do whatever he wants. He's made movies about trans. Like he's done movies on the actual subject matter of trans identity, but he's like, look, I'm making the bag again before I die. He basically said this is going to take me into the twilight years of my life. So either you're somebody with FU money who can just do it because you want to make more FU money. You have nothing to lose because you're a no-name actor who nobody's ever heard of before, and this is potentially your opportunity at being shot to superstardom. Who knows? That could happen for any of them. So that's a good reason not to back out of the project. But there is a middle ground there, and I do think there's a fair argument here where you're a Nicholas Hoult who is on a star on the rise, working in tons of franchises now, and is a name that is now very recognizable to a lot of people. He might feel like his attachment to the name ID of the franchise actually does hurt his career and doesn't financially benefit him enough if it's just for one season, and he's going to have to worry about what the repercussions are after just doing the one full season of work.
I mean, I don't consider Nicholas Hoult being like a star on the rise. I like that actor. He's been in a lot of great projects. And so far he's attached to DC. And he's got, I mean, depending on how long they keep with that universe, honestly, he's got pretty much a steady stream of revenue coming in from those movies that he'll be attached to. And with him, though, I think that I honestly do think that the pressure did get to him.
Okay.
I think it did get to him. And if he, and dropping out of the role quietly, and saying scheduling conflicts is just the safer bet to play, right?
Yeah.
It's just the safe thing to do, as opposed to coming out and, you know, making this huge defiance, like, I don't agree with blah, 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 blah. I have, you know, good luck, but I can't be a part of this because of my opinions on blah, blah, blah. You know, so I think that this is just the safe play. Let me just step away from the project and then say scheduling conflicts. But they're replacing him with another great actor. Yeah. So there's really nothing bad that came out of this.
Here's just a taste of some of the tweets that you could see on stuff like this. Nicholas Hoult, you and your scheduling issues are not off the hook. Mr. Harrington, we already knew you didn't care since the audiobook, but thanks for the confirmation, I guess. Anyway, once again, nostalgia is not more important than trans lives.
Yeah, that's another thing. They did try and get and shame a lot of the actors that are in the audiobooks, the full cast audiobooks, to drop out of the full cast audiobooks because they hate J.K. Rowling.
Who was the one that made the face? It wasn't Natalie Portman. Who was it?
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley, where she gave them. It was my own version. It said this is the school marm version of the Sydney Sweeney meme, where she's like, well, we have different opinions, and that's okay. Yeah. She stood on business. She didn't leave. She's like, shut up.
It's pretty much like taking the aloof opinion of there's backlash. Oh, well, I wasn't aware of that, but I'm going to continue on.
Yeah, it's so,
you know, I mean, that's pretty much what you have to do. I think that with anything, you're going to get a small sect of backlash. And I think that in Hollywood, you know, they're in such a small bubble. They think that like the backlash is the loud majority, when in reality they are the small minority. So who knows? I mean, he could have just been like, yeah, I don't want to do it because I don't want to have these people on my
Yeah.
ASS for the rest of my career.
Here's her face that Keira Knightley was making when they asked her the stupid question. She's like, yes, you're very stupid. How are you feeling in general about the series? Are you excited to watch this?
I don't know. I mean, I was excited when they were redoing it because they were going to make it closer to the books. And we were going to get even more than the movies gave us. And they're going to, be they said that they were going to give us a faithful adaptation. And then they announced the casting and the controversial Snape casting. I definitely was not on board with. Yeah. And then they said that they are going to take some liberties with it. So I was cautiously optimistic, whereas now I'm like, let's see how the first episode goes. I've been seeing some behind the scenes footage of what they're shooting, and there's already stuff that they're shooting that wasn't in the movies at all. So it's interesting, like knowing the book and seeing the things that they are filming and knowing like where that took place in the book. And it's just, I'm excited. I don't want to be excited, honestly, because I don't want to be let down. So I don't want to be optimistic because I feel like I will get let down. So I don't know. We'll see.
There's too many red flags.
Yeah.
Not, one of which is just the fact that I'm not a kid anymore. And the thing is like we do have this generation now of people my age, millennials, who are desperate to like recapture the innocence that they felt when they were younger.
Yeah.
And it's a dragon that you chase that can't be satiated. You're never going to truly find it again.
I don't understand the idea. I think I saw it was either a video or a whole article saying how, millennials are just trying to recapture their childhood and like live in the past instead of. I don't understand that. Like, yes, you can have like your hobbies. Like, I mean, I have a whole room full of hobbies. And a whole room full of nostalgia, and I can love these things, but I can also realize that I am an adult with responsibilities, and I don't want to live as a child again. I don't want to recapture my childhood. I don't want to do that. I have responsibilities, and I am a grown up. I am an adult.
There's a whole.
I don't understand that.
There's a whole slew of Instagram accounts now, which are AI slop. It's like POV. You're waking up on Christmas Day in 1990. And it's like a POV shot of you. You're waking up in your room. It's got the Christmas music playing, and you see, a vague facsimile of what the world looked like in 1990.
Yeah. I think that wouldn't happen if people were having children, because these are things, these are experiences that you want to share, and they're not sharing them with the next generation, right? With their own children. So they're just living in the past. That's why they want so much nostalgia, because you're supposed to have a family and children, and they're not doing that. So they're just becoming big adults or big children.
Yeah. It is like, instead of focusing on whether you can relive your own experience as a child on Christmas, you'd be focused on trying to provide that same experience for your own children, which would in itself create memories for yourself that are now of current year rather than those of the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it's like reliving those memories again if you have a kid, because they're experiencing it for the first time, and you're experiencing it for the first time through them, but also a little bit differently because you are now a parent. So you get to provide those memories for your child, and because people just they're not having kids and just putting themselves first, and now they have adult money, and they're they have adult money, and so they're trying to use that adult money to relive their childhood, as opposed to let's have a family and make new memories with my children.
The more adult version of that one, guys, is like when you become an adult with adult money and you realize you can just do things as the guy who buys like the hot dog maker from a gas station and puts it in his room next to his bed. The thing that like rolls hot dogs on it. That's what you do when you've got adult money, and you can buy Lego sets.
I love Lego. Yeah. I've got one here on my desk, but I like the video of like, I have adult money now, and this guy bought a huge helicopter and put it as a light. as on his
Yes.
on his fan
Yes.
and so the fan is the blades of the helicopter. That was a good one.
Like
Yeah.
that's the type of thing that you can do once you realize that your bills are paid and you can do all that other stuff. Look, Harry Potter is also one of those things where it's so tied to millennial life, and it's so tied to Christmas now too, which is weird that it became like it's a de facto Christmas movie now, even though I mean portions of each movie or of each book take place at Christmas. The Christmas period when they're off classes usually ends up being important to the story in like every book, but it's become like a go-to Christmas movie for people the same way that National Lampoon's was for previous generations.
Yeah, it was a huge thing for millennials. Harry Potter. Yeah, Harry Potter was a huge thing for millennials. So I imagine like they're very attached to it. I mean, I absolutely love Harry Potter. When I lived in Florida, I would go to Universal almost all the time to go to the Wizarding World. So I really love Harry Potter, and I was looking forward to this new show. I don't know. With modern entertainment is the way it is right now. There's reason to be a little bit hesitant, and I'm a little bit hesitant to get really, really hyped for this new show.
I can't get hyped for it. Like I can't like, and again, it's not to say that people aren't going to like it. I think it's too dark. I don't think that I can see what the hell is going on in that trailer, which is
very dark.
Annoying. Like,
it's very dark.
You look at the lighting from the original movie and you're like, holy crap, I can see everybody. I can see what's going on.
I know. I think I read somewhere that that's actually intentional. They wanted to differentiate the human world, the Muggle world, from the Wizarding world. So it's done intentionally.
That's such a BS like art school excuse for just not wanting to light properly or color grade properly. It could be worse though, guys. You could be watching Rings of Power.
Oh my gosh, I could not believe that photo.
The guy in the middle looks like one of the Island Boys to me.
I couldn't believe that photo. So I was actually going through their Comic-Con interview. And I'm not watching Rings of Power, so I don't know.
No, I watched the
names.
first season and I didn't watch anything after that.
I watched the first episode and I couldn't get past it. I was done. So I'm not watching Rings of Power. I don't know what their names are besides Disa. That's the only one that I know. Is Disa Durin?
Durin and Disa's children have always had a presence on the show. In season 3, audiences will finally meet their daughter, Gerda, and son, Gamli?
So apparently, from what I learned from the actor who plays Durin, at Comic-Con, they asked him about, his family and his scenes or whatever. And he said that it's going to be like a soap opera.
Oh.
Like Days of Our Lives. That's their scenes.
Turn the motion
with their
smoothing
family.
off, guys. Turn the motion smoothing off and it'll truly feel like a soap opera.
He said that's what it's going to be. He's very excited for his children, to play a major role, and they're grown up, and it's going to be like a soap opera. It's going to be like Days of Our Lives, is what he said. And also, his marriage to Disa is on the rocks.
No, is she cheating? I guess they don't have like a maid or like a.
It is strained.
Yeah,
it's a strained marriage.
Guess there's no. They can't have a pool boy, so they'd have to have like a.
Yeah.
I guess like a lake boy, like if they live by a body of water. I have no idea. I feel bad for anybody who's still watching it personally. Imagine that they have to make this show legally because I think it was contractually obligated to do 5 seasons. Just think about that when you Stargate fans try to get your show back, which they canceled
I know.
over there. All right. I just thought
it's so bad. It's such a bad picture. And also, like, the costume that the daughter is wearing is the same dress that Disa wears in season 1, I believe. And I'm just kind of like, I'm sorry. Isn't this like a big budget show? Why don't they just give her own clothes? Why don't they give her own costume as opposed to having her wear her mom's dress from the first season? Like, give her own costumes, make it look grand. Why isn't? And again, maybe she's doing it because they don't have anything where they live. I don't know. I'm not watching the show. I just found it funny that her dress is the same dress that Disa wore in the first season.
All right, guys, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into today. So, look, copyright in Hollywood is nothing new. There have been famous cases of copyright infringement and people getting sued for scripts, people saying that they stole scripts. It's kind of case du jour. It's pretty common in Hollywood, but Taylor Sheridan is experiencing this right now. If you don't know Taylor Sheridan by name, then you certainly know him by product. He's made a lot of stuff that a lot of people love. I, for one, love the movie Sicario. It's one of my top 5 movies of all time, but in the span of just a couple years, he did Sicario, Hell or High Water, Wind River, and then Sicario 2 between like 2015 and 2018. And then in 2018 began like the Yellowstone universe, which was Yellowstone, 1883, 1923, Dutton Ranch, Madison. It's like 10,000 shows. And then he's got these ancillary projects that he's done, like Lioness, Landman, which a lot of people really, really like, Mayor of Kingstown, Tulsa King, all shows that people really, really enjoy. Well, from everything that I'm reading here in this article, he is being sued for allegedly stealing the idea for Yellowstone from a writer named Lauren J. Salkin, who says that she wrote a script for something called Sovereign Nation, which she pitched to his production company in 2016, which is a year before, Paramount actually greenlit the show for them to release. Now, the problem is that from what I understand, he had kicked around the idea of Yellowstone as a script, as a movie, all the way back in like 2013, and then they were never able to get it off the ground before he moved over to Paramount. And look, she says that she pitched it to him in 2016, and his production company said that he was unavailable for television shows at that time. That just seems like a lawsuit waiting to happen, those types of pitches and stuff like that. Like, people are not supposed to just randomly pitch you ideas for fear of you eventually getting, if you do end up creating something and they see some similarity in it, then you end up getting sued, and people say that you claim you claim to have infringed on their copyright. She says that he lifted several elements specifically from her story. Even several actor suggestions were used in this. And just go through it here. In the court documents that were obtained by Variety, Salkin alleges that she pitched her own sprawling Western drama, Sovereign Nation, to Sheridan's production company, Elevate Management, in 2016, only to be told, "Taylor thanks you very much for your interest. Unfortunately, he's unavailable for TV projects." Yellowstone was greenlit from Paramount within months of her rejection. Sheridan, however, was not unavailable for TV, says the suit. Instead, he and others used her copyrighted works to develop Yellowstone. On June 20th, 2018, Paramount Network aired its first episode. Now remember, it was greenlit by Paramount in 2017. The lawsuit lists several specific expressive choices that Yellowstone allegedly lifted directly from Sovereign Nation. Those elements in the lawsuit include a tribal casino functioning as the institutional center of political and development power, a signature confrontation staged in the tribal chairman's casino, his casino office over expansion beyond reservation boundaries, and the use of trust land, the absence of zoning restrictions, and a 99-year lease structure as the concrete mechanism for the expansion, and a recurring master plan imagery deployed to dramatize the struggle for territorial control. Now, I guess those are kind of specific, but I loved the show Longmire, and that had a whole casino plot line as well. It seems to kind of go part and parcel with stories that take place on reservations. They also claim that she proposed actors Danny Huston and Gil Birmingham. I don't know if it's Houston or Huston, but there's no. She suggested them specifically in her Sovereign Nation pitch deck. Both were later cast in Yellowstone and play, quote, materially parallel structural roles. Birmingham as the tribal political leader whose authority and development strategy run through the casino, and Huston as the outside development power broker who supplies the political or commercial path for expansion. They say that basically all of this is just too much of a coincidence, and it's easy for them to infer, they can't prove it yet, infer that some shenanigans happened. What do you think?
Very interesting. Now, I did read, there was another article on the Hollywood Reporter that says that copyright law does not protect the abstract idea of a Western, a land dispute, an Indian casino, or a powerful family.
Yeah.
So that's not protected, but that's not the plaintiff's claim either. It's the infringement alleged here lies in the copying of Salkin's particular expressive choices and their coordinated selection and arrangement. It'll be interesting to see because like they have to provide their information as to like, no, this was actually an original idea. This is proof that this was an original idea. It'll be interesting to see what would come from this because her pitching this, like, it's not necessarily a new idea,
No.
but if she's seeing like that many coincidences in it, then she could possibly have a case to say like, I really do think you stole my idea. But at the same time, given Taylor Sheridan's background, like it's not a surprise to see that he would do a show like this either. So
he'd already made
interesting
movies. He'd already made movies that seemed in the same vein.
Yeah.
Before this came out, and like I said, there were articles going back explaining that he was pitching Yellowstone as a movie with a quote unquote Robert Redford type in the lead role back in 2013, and he just got into a back and forth with HBO because they wanted to put together like a whole writer's room. He didn't want to have a writer's room. He didn't feel like they were going to be able to capture the story the way that he wanted it to be. So there's at least a paper trail there. But, given her very specific claims, discovery would be very interesting if there's like internal documents with dates on script writings that say like, okay, you wrote Gil, you started like looking for Gil Birmingham after this date. Well, maybe that has something to do with it. But my guess is that she gets paid a certain amount of money to go away. Or the other thing they do is Taylor Sheridan also has FU money. His production company has FU money. They just run out the clock until she can't afford to stay in court with them.
I mean, that's what I would do, honestly. Like that's what I would do, especially if it was an original idea as opposed to, paying her this sum. Because I feel like if she gets a payout to end her lawsuit, that's kind of like implying that, okay, you might have something here. And we just want you to go away. Here's some money, because her objection is that she was like, oh, this is very similar, but she got even more heated to see after Yellowstone became so big, and then it had all of those spin-offs, and it became like this huge, wildly successful multi-million dollar project, and she's not receiving any revenue of that. That's when she got mad, when it blew up and became like this huge deal. And this cultural phenomenon, right? That's when she got mad, and she was like, you know what? I'm going to do this lawsuit because she saw how big it got. So she could have just done it at the very beginning when Yellowstone was first airing, but instead it's now, after it's become this huge cultural thing. That's now is when she's hitting them with the copyright lawsuit. But I don't know. I think that if they were to give her a payout, it's like, okay, yeah, we did take a few things from your thing. Here's some money. Here you go. Just be quiet about it. Whereas if he waits out the clock, I think that like that would be something that I did, especially if it was an original thing that I've been trying to pitch for years before you even came into my office and pitched your idea. I'm not going to pay you a dime. This wasn't your project. You have something different. Keep shopping that around.
Yeah, and the thing is like, look, I tried to go to her website. The domain is not there anymore. She's got some credits, mostly as like additional crew on like award shows.
I was looking at it too, because I was like, okay, who is this? I want to know what her background is. Has she written all these other different projects? And her stuff is mostly like additional crew or a producer. There's no writing credits on her IMDb if that's the same woman that's doing this.
I saw no writing credits. So I'm just like,
this
is all like
it's
award
kind of
shows. It was like all award shows or live TV stuff. I don't know. We got a $20 super chat here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, if they pay her off, it will signal to a parade of knuckleheads coming in behind her, claiming other IP infringement. I don't think it's a good idea to pay these people off. Yeah, no,
No.
I agree. I again, like I said, I think you wait behind the lawyers and you just sit in court forever, and eventually she'll run out of money and she won't be able to. Or if she took like some law firm that was willing to take it on the basis of like, if we win, we keep like 60% of the winnings, but they're going to be in court forever. And Taylor Sheridan is like leaving Paramount eventually. That's kind of happening in stages. I believe this year he's allowed to start working on movies for Universal, but his Paramount TV contract goes through 2028. And to be fair, another thing, Paramount's struggling financially right now.
Right.
So, like, I mean, I guess they're not really suing Paramount so much as they are suing them. They're like, I think they're named in the lawsuit, but it's Taylor Sheridan's production company that's going to bear the brunt of those costs. Paramount can't really afford a lot of lawsuits right now. They're too busy trying to get Bonta to let them do their stupid, do the merger. Yeah. And they're going to keep them out of court until March of 2027, and they're going to be paying Warner Brothers shareholders $7 million a day.
That's wild.
Which is insane.
My first thought when it came to this was, is this another way, because it is a Paramount thing? I was like, is this another way to kind of like make Paramount not profitable? Oh, this is actually something tarnished because of the merger. Like, this is her way of doing that. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that, like, when I was looking up her background, like, nothing signaled to me that, like, she's a writer that's been working on this project for 10 years.
Be diabolical if like Ted Sarandos was like funding this lady to sue them because he's bitter about the fact that Netflix sucks at buying stuff. Netflix tries to buy stuff all the time and they always fail. Nobody ever lets Netflix buy anything. All right. I thought it was interesting because Taylor, he is so popular now. Like, there was just this huge article that was written about how he was going to retire, but he bought like a $300 million ranch, so he had to go back to work. And it's just like, he was like, did you ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
I did. Yeah, he was on Sons of Anarchy.
He was on Sons of Anarchy, and he realized that apparently he's better off writing and producing than he is. He's not a bad actor either. He absolutely looks the part.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I like what he said about, working on Sons of Anarchy and why he left and why he became the writer. And it was because he wasn't paid as much on Sons of Anarchy. That was like a livable wage. He was actually working 2 jobs at that time because what they were paying him, like, he couldn't afford to live in California at that time. So he had to take on another job. So when season 2 came around, he asked them for a pay raise, which is not what he got. He was like, this is actually just my pay that you were paying me, just fewer episodes. So he was like, he just said like he didn't want to get paid as much as the guy that played Jax.
Oh, it's Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't need to get paid as much as Charlie Hunnam. Like, he knew where he was as far as like, the casting.
Yeah.
He knew where he was. He's like, I just want to get paid as much as like these other guys are getting paid. And so they didn't do that. And so like, that's one of the reasons why he left the show. And he was just like, look, if the only way I'm going to be able to control how much I get paid is if I'm the one writing the stories, and that's why he like went on to do that, and he's become massively successful.
That's why Sydney Sweeney got started producing early. She understands that she's going to make more money behind the scenes than she ever will in front of the camera. It's funny, the same thing happened to Daniel Day Kim and Grace Park, who were on Hawaii Five-0, and they wanted like equal pay with the 2 lead stars, and the studio's like, no, like, we're not doing that. So they left and they went and did their own thing. And Daniel Day Kim is also now a very big producer in Hollywood. He also, stars in a lot of the stuff that he produces, but he's making his own money elsewhere, and that's a good thing. They take their career into their own hands, which I appreciate. All right, you're gonna love this topic. I just know how excited you are to talk about lanterns, because we're not just going to talk about, it's not really so much about the show itself, it's more about Hollywood's approach to how they adapt things from previous stories, because that is what most of Hollywood is these days, whether it's comic book adaptations, whether it's book adaptations. For instance, we saw The Sheep Detectives this year. Great movie. My favorite movie of the year. Based on a book that is nothing like the movie. It was based on like a drug dealer, and they completely changed the story. But Hollywood has a very, very tenuous relationship with the concept of adaptation. Damon Lindelof has a very tenuous reputation with the concept of adaptation. So I'm going to read you a couple of these quotes here, and then I want you to give me your thoughts are on it, or what your thoughts are on it. So this was the first one that stuck out to me. And guys, this was from an interview in the Hollywood Reporter. It was quite extensive. It says, "We all just have to acknowledge that there's a level of hubris involved in taking on any of this pre-existing IP, but it is called adaptation. Source material is supposed to change and evolve. As a consumer and as someone who's making this stuff, there's almost a responsibility to take risks. I don't think anybody wants to see you be completely and totally vigilant to the source material, because then it isn't adaptation at all. Shouldn't we be beyond this conversation now?"
Yeah.
Thoughts?
He finds that conversation insufferable, by the way, because before he says any of that, he says, I love the frame on the question. I love how insufferable the discourse is.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it feels like a vital conversation. So I think there's a difference between like an adaptation and just changing it completely to where it's not even recognizable. You know, you can adapt something from comic to the screen and people will know that they are watching a Superman movie, right? People will know that that's what we're watching. The difference here is that it seems like they just wanted to make another True Detective, but they had to make something that was Lanterns. So let's just make a True Detective Lanterns show. Where if I was watching it, have they not had like the ring or the lantern in it, I would not know that I am watching a Lanterns show.
Yeah.
Because they're just in a small town. They're like nothing there screams Lanterns. We would have we would have loved to watch a Green Lantern show taking place in space.
Yeah.
That is what we would have loved to see. We would have preferred him to stay true to the source material, because there is so much source material to pull from, and instead you would rather subvert the idea of it and make a True Detective Lanterns. It is ridiculous. If I want to watch True Detective, I will go and watch True Detective, but I don't. I want to watch a Lanterns TV show, a Green Lantern TV show, and that's just not what I'm watching, because it is so incredibly boring. It is very boring. It is not what you would expect when you're watching a superhero show.
Yeah, it's so funny too, because there's so much, like, as somebody, everybody knows I don't claim nerd or geek status, but I do love the DC animated movies. And there's a lot of Jon Stewart in the DC animated movies and shows. I was never partial to like the Green Lantern solo movies, but like Justice League appearances and stuff like that, he's great. And Hal Jordan is great in those when they appear. And it feels like they're, even if you want to save on the budget, right? It can still take place in outer space. Not everything has to be a cosmic fight scene when they're doing it. And I think to the way these types of things are, we were talking earlier about my comments were that, in my opinion, I feel like you still need the big screen characters even on the television shows, because they don't seem to work. Now, one of the ways in which that doesn't necessarily always track is like the Marvel Netflix shows didn't need the biggest budget because they all took place in New York City. So it didn't matter that, New York City has tax breaks and stuff like that, but they were street level characters, so they made sense to be shown at street level. I feel like there should have been somebody, and again, this is just my opinion, at the level of production who's like, maybe we don't do the Green Lantern show unless we can do it in space.
Exactly. Those characters make sense for having it, on Earth in New York. It totally makes sense for their surroundings as to why it takes place, in those areas. For Green Lantern, it just doesn't make sense. The best part of episode 2 was showing him flying in space. That was and it was such a small little snippet. Going in to visit Sinestro, that was the best part of episode 2. Everything else is just so incredibly boring. If it wasn't called Lanterns and it didn't have the Green Lantern ring, he couldn't fly, it could just be any other show. If I took a screenshot of Hal Jordan talking to the lady police sheriff, I don't even know her name because I'm not that invested, honestly. if I took a screenshot of it, if you didn't know that it was a Lantern show, you would think it was just another Taylor Sheridan project, honestly.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing cosmic about it. There's nothing superhero about it. There's nothing DC about it. There's nothing fantastical about it. It's just an incredibly boring show.
It's so funny. I just as an aside, I saw something really like a really interesting post on X the other day where somebody said one of the worst things that happened to Marvel is that they no longer show tech being developed. They just say, "Oh, Tony Stark made it for me."
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And it's like a shortcut for everything there. Over at DC, like, you've got so many ground level characters. Like, I would have rather watched a Deathstroke show if you're gonna do it at ground level.
Ooh, that would have been great.
Like
Joe Manganiello. I don't know how to say his last name. He is itching at the bit to play that character again.
And
he really wants to.
I've liked all three live action versions of Deathstroke for different reasons. I liked Manu Bennett in Arrow.
He was a great one, yeah.
Literally the only stuff I watched in Titans was the Deathstroke stuff with S.I. Morales. And I like Joe Manganiello, and Joe Manganiello's like a lifelong comic book fan.
Yes.
So, like, not giving him that opportunity, and he's aging out now. I mean, he's not going to be able to. And they should have done it. If you can bring back, what's his name from Blue Beetle? What's his name? Zola Madeira? I don't remember. They're bringing him back. If you can bring him back, then you can bring back Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke.
I know.
And do a Deathstroke television show, right? Show him like working for the SAS and then becoming, or the Australian Special Forces, and then becoming. I'm sure the American version's different, but like it'd be great, and actually call it Deathstroke the Terminator.
Did you say Deathstroke and Terminator?
The Terminator.
Oh, the Terminator.
Yeah. They should do that, and I don't think that there's any reason that you can't do that. You can't recapture the magic of True Detective anyways. Not even the subsequent seasons of True Detective were able to recapture the magic of that show. I don't even really I tried to rewatch it. Once you have the reveal the first time, it doesn't hit the same the second, and it's kind of become what I call like. When I think of that show, it's a bit of nihilist porn in a way. Like, it has a very nihilist view of the world that just felt very indicative of the early 2010s. Like, somebody would go straight from watching True Detective to like atheist Twitter, so that they could talk about how much cooler it is to not believe in God.
Yeah.
But here's some more stuff.
That's just it. If they want to make a show like that, then that's totally fine. Just don't call it Lanterns and put superheroes in it, because it makes zero sense. And I think that this show is also just completely damaging those characters as well. There's only so many times we can watch a character that you absolutely love, completely old, aged, down, just drunk, doesn't like his life, is all miserable, and and then introduce the new Lantern, the one you want, the one you respect, the one you want people to love, take over that mantle, and then kill him off, kill off the old and bring in the new, and that's what they want to do with Lanterns. That's what they want to do.
Who directed Logan?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
I forget his name. Anyways, he also did what's his name?
James Mangold.
James Mangold. He also did Indiana Jones, right? Right, in the Dial of Destiny, and he somehow got Logan right, but didn't get Dial of Destiny right, because they're different franchises and it doesn't work. They're talking the same way. Like right now, guys, and we're going to cover this more on Thursday. Turtletop is giving interviews talking about National Treasure 3.
Please no. I'm not.
He says we can't ignore the politics. I was like, yes, not with that attitude you can't. Not with that attitude, you can't. Those movies were made during the height of the Bush administration, and there were plenty of just absolutely batshit insane left-wing activists who called George Bush Hitler back then. Yet you were still able to make a National Treasure movie that had a lot of love and reverence for America And despite the fact that Nicolas Cage is playing like perhaps one of his most reserved performances, that's
Yes.
kind of what I love about it. Like it's great. And now I'm like, are they going to do this for National Treasure 3? Is he going to be replaced by some young up-and-comer? Don't do it. Don't do it. Nicolas Cage is second to no man. You can or woman. He has to be the main character.
I don't think that they're going to kill him off and replace him.
They better not.
I think that they're going to disrespect America. I think that's what they're going to do. I think that's why he's saying we can't ignore the politics. Yeah. I think that's what this is going to be. It's going to be a movie that does just that disrespects America and your pride as an American. It could be a whole conversation about immigration or something like that that they put into this movie.
I implore anybody who never saw National Treasure, or if you did and you haven't seen it in a very long time, if you are looking for to get America pilled, that is the movie you watch. And then after that, you watch old episodes of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. That is the most pro-American night you can spend with yourself. That movie has reverence for the founding fathers, for what it took for this country to be built from the ground up, and it's because it has an underlying love of America and America's lore, America's history, and to focus more on the present would be awful, and that is a downside. I do think that when it comes to adaptation, though, like there was other stuff that he said in these quotes. He says, I'm going back to Damon Lindelof now, not Turtletop. Damon Lindelof says, I don't have my dictionary handy, and while I'm sure there are multiple definitions of adaptation, the one that resonates the most for me is that source material is supposed to change and evolve. Do you agree with? I don't think he's wrong in that books tend to share the inner thoughts of the character, so there is adaptation that has to be done. But all that looks like to me when you read it from the guy who did that 2019 Watchmen and the guy who did what he did to Lost is he's looking for his out, right? He's looking for his out from the source material so that he can start turning it into whatever he wants.
Exactly. I think that when I first heard that quote where it's supposed to change and evolve, that seems like just a really big cope as to, why he did what he did. He didn't want to make lanterns true to the source material. He wanted to change it and do something else. And so to give himself that permission, he says, well, you know what? The source material is supposed to change and evolve. Yeah. But he's adapting from source material. Yeah. He's not, writing something new within the source material. It's not like he's writing new comics. He's adapting Green Lantern to a television show. He should be, taking stuff from the source material in order to put it into the TV show. So I think that's just something that he says in order to get away with what he's doing in this show.
Like if you go look at, even if you aren't a fan of Zack Snyder or the Dark Knight or Batman vs Superman, if you watch the fight between him and Superman, a lot of that stuff is lifted directly from The Dark Knight Returns, when Batman and at least from the animated, telling of that story, it takes inspiration directly from those scenes, and a lot of the dialogue is done as well. I mean, the unfortunate Martha line notwithstanding,
not so much.
But the rest of it, like the actual way the fight takes place, definitely takes inspiration from the animated series, which people appreciated.
Yeah, you can see the inspiration from comics to the movies, right? Yeah. You can see where they pulled and plucked and put it into the movies while creating something new. Whereas with lanterns, like where is the inspiration from the comics? Where are they pulling from the comics? Just because you have like, ooh, look, Sinestro. Ooh, look, the Power Ring. Ooh, look, the lantern. Oh my goodness, he's saying the Green Lantern Creed. Ooh, or the Green Lantern Oath. Ooh. Oh, he just completely skips over that oath, by the way. Like, it's just something he doesn't care about anymore. Well, that's the first time that we're hearing him say the oath. It should be something that is done with reverence, and he's just like throwing words out because he has to get the line over with. That's what it sounds like.
There is a seeming desire to move on past the stuff that people care about. The same thing happened, and everybody knows that I had fun at He-Man. Sorry, Masters of the Universe, because they're too afraid to call it He-Man. But every time there was the possibility of some actual rising bit of emotional tension that could lead to something honest, it was undercut with a joke. Whereas this undercuts with, nihilism and like disregard for the material.
Yeah. This is very much disregard for the material. At the very least, you can say that you watch Masters of the Universe and you can I mean, it's basically the cartoon on but with live actors. And as much as I have zero interest in Masters of the Universe, and I didn't watch it when I was younger, so I have no idea what was going on in that movie. So did I enjoy it? It was fine. It was mid to me. I wasn't like super excited about it, and I didn't completely hate it either. So it was fine. At the very least, I was like, okay, this is a good time. I can see of people having fun with this movie. Yep. But and it was like, oh wow, this is like basically I'm watching a cartoon, Yep. So you can see the inspiration there.
It feels like the people who are less connected with the material end up having an easier time with a lot of this stuff because they don't want to actually make the people who loved it happy.
No, they don't want to make the people who love it happy. They really don't. They Hollywood hates the audience for some reason. They hate the people that like the property. They hate the people that like the source material. And instead of making something that will, at the very least, have them be on board with what you're creating, they're making it to spite them. I know you're going to hate it. We're doing it anyway. Yeah. I don't understand that mindset. I really don't.
Does not make any sense. All right, guys, we're going to go through the super chats here. Now, let's get to a crisis party. You have to scare Steph again, guys. You scared her last time. You have to scare her again. We need a crisis party. That's okay. It's it's funnier when it happens in studio because it's like 10 times louder in studio, so people will jump straight up out of their chairs when it happens in the studio. All right, super chats here, ladies and gentlemen. Shane H. Wilder says, "Happy Taco Tuesday, Brett and Steph, and Requisite and Pache to Dolly Parton. I'm gonna have to listen to some old Dolly music tonight." Well, maybe. I remember when I was in Nashville, we were gonna go to Dollywood, but we didn't. I wanted to go to Dollywood, at least to see.
I've never been to Dollywood. Now I kind of want to make a trip out there.
Shane H. Wilder says, "It just dropped that President Trump has ordered the flag to be flown at half-staff in honor of Dolly Parton." Yep, and I learned today that half-staff means a flag on land, and half-mast means a flag on a ship. I did not know that. Pop Culture Junkie says, "It is legendary in Hollywood that during the making of 9 to 5, how charming and kind Dolly Parton was to the cast and especially the crew." Yeah.
I think that's just her.
That's just who she was.
Yeah.
Of course, they say the same thing about Mark Ruffalo. So what can you say? They're like, Mark Ruffalo always eats lunch with the below-the-line workers. I'm like, yeah, the difference is he probably pats himself on the back when he's done and then washes himself.
Yeah. That's what it is. He just likes doing it for the plebs so they can bask in his presence because he knows that they'll kiss his butt the entire lunch.
He's like, "Oh, yes, I am quite a nice person hanging out with you pores." Mm-hmm. Allow me.
Like when he went to the protest in his poor clothes. That will never not be funny.
He wears the sideways hat that I just want to knock off his head whenever I see it. Jesse Guess says, "I'm not one to get upset about celebrity deaths, but I actually cried today. Dolly was America's auntie. She was so wholesome. What an absolute treasure." Yes, she was. Yep. I have to when it comes to celebrity deaths, I can't say that there's any that have hit me so hard that I've been overly emotional, but I do understand the importance that a lot of celebrities end up having on people in different parts of their lives. How many times have you looked at an interview or a clip from a movie down below and somebody shares a story about how they saw the movie when something bad. It happens with music a lot too, right? I found this song when I was going through something traumatic in life and it'll always mean something to me. Whether you like it or not, whether it sounds stupid or not, there's a reason why art is so important, and it's because it finds a way to matter to people. Thank you! It's a crescendo on what I was saying. Art matters, and it's okay to be upset when celebrities that you cared about passed away, within reason, right? It's within reason. At least in my personal opinion. Has there ever been a celebrity death that really hit you?
There's been 3, actually. Yes. One when I was younger, Corey Monteith. Like that one hit me pretty hard when I was younger. And then Matthew Perry.
Okay, so recently, yeah.
Yeah, Matthew Perry was a hard one, and then Alan Rickman was another one.
Were you a big Friends fan then?
I liked Friends. Now, I didn't watch it when it was airing, but I watched it on Netflix. Well, I watched it on Netflix, and when I first moved out of my house, I didn't have cable. Yeah. I didn't have I didn't have anything. So my cousin had, I think it was like season 2 or 3 of Friends. And I took it from him, so I have something to watch. And that's how I started watching Friends. Hooked. And then I went and found like the next season and then the next season, and so then I owned all of them, and then I watched it on Netflix too. So, but yeah, I really liked Friends. Yeah.
All right.
And I loved his character on Friends.
There you go. See, like I said, celebrities they can absolutely have an effect on people. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. It's all about, like we were saying earlier, it's all about moderation. And you can have your hobbies and your things that you love from your childhood, as long as you're also taking care of your adult responsibilities. And you can have your love and respect for some celebrities, as long as doesn't fall into celebrity worship.
Yep.
All right. Brian Bledsoe, member for 6 months, says PCC Live at night feels weird, but that's the case for the next 10 days across the pond in Europe. Just heard about Dolly. Rest in peace. What are you traveling for, Brian? I would be interested to know. And even when you're back here, I've been. They're not live, but I've been premiering bonus episodes on Saturday at 7 p.m. and then I come in and I lurk in the chat to see what you degenerates are saying. Shay H. Wilder says, I believe the quote is, whoever controls the purse strings controls the culture. Well, be careful, because apparently the people with the purse strings think Lindsay Clancy should get off. So,
Yep.
I haven't followed any of it just because it's too depressing.
Oh my gosh, I can do a whole stream about it.
Dull and Tired says, I'm sorry, Brett, but generally speaking, women didn't like nerdy things until streaming became a thing. Again, generally speaking. Well, I mean, that was the point that I was making. The point I was making is that women have always liked Star Wars, just not most women, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
I think women will be in lockstep with the latest thing. That's what I think. And then they'll move on.
Pop Culture Junkie says Gunn's contract is up in Q1 of 2027. Lot betting he's toast. A lot, I'm guessing, means a lot of people are betting he's toast. You know what? What do they do? Do they keep Corn Sweat? Like, do we get some type of like Frankenstein universe where Ben Affleck becomes Batman again and Corn Sweat is Superman? Henry Cavill comes in and plays I don't know who. What if they brought back Henry Cavill as a different character? That would be hilarious.
That would be interesting if they did that. There's like new rumors that were going around saying that like after the merger, Zack Snyder is going to do his Batman film with Ben Affleck. And at this point, it's like I honestly don't want it. Let's rest. Let's put DC to rest for a little bit, because I would prefer to just have nothing than have a lot of bad stuff back to back to back.
Unless Ben Affleck is going to get as jacked as he was in Batman vs Superman. And he was one of those people that's the most vocal. He's like, I hated every day having to work out, but I did it, and I don't think they want to do that again. Not everybody can be Chris Hemsworth,
I know.
Roided to the gills, looking like a Greek god in his 50s. He's in his late 40s.
I don't think he's in his
50s. He's in his 40s. I'm excited for Extraction 3. That's one of the rare examples of a good streaming movie.
Oh, I've never seen Extraction.
Extraction's good. I'm gonna
They're
watch
good?
the new.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch the new Gal Gadot streaming movie because it looks. Really, really
I watched,
bad.
what was it, Red Notice? Was it Red Notice
Yep.
that she was? I watched that one and
That
I was
was-
just like, oh my God.
She also did a really bad one called Heart of Stone. That was really, really bad, where she's playing like too reserved of a character. I'm like, Gal Gadot's biggest attribute when she's acting is to smile, because she has a very warm demeanor that literally worked for her as Wonder Woman, because she could be like a team builder within that world. Like, you actually felt like Cyborg might actually join the team because she seemed like she could actually get him to do so. Yeah. So I'm gonna watch this movie where she's apparently running the whole time. It looks really dumb.
Oh my goodness.
Dull and Tired says, by streaming I mean live streaming, not Hulu, etc. Yeah, I got what you meant, man. Greg Duvier says, go back to 20 plus episodes, 45 minutes long, 9 months between seasons. You mean 3 months between seasons? The seasons were about 9 months long. They're not even doing that with the shows that I like now. So they moved High Potential, RJ Decker, and Best Medicine, I believe maybe not Best Medicine, High Potential to like a mid-season release. So it's not coming out in September. It's not going to come out until January. So then you get 12 or 13 episodes. So it's a glorified streaming show, except for it's on network television. Not everybody can be the Rookie, which is like, because Nathan Fillion is in a constant state of working. He's like David Boreanaz. They're always working. And that's what Nathan Fillion's doing. Shane H. Wilder says, I always trust Brett, especially after he sang the praises of Sheep Detectives. Well, yeah, that movie was amazing.
Oh, that's a good movie.
That and most of his TV recommendations are spot on. Well, yes, if you have the tastes of a grandpa like me, then you'll like the stuff that I recommend. Chris says, anybody fancy a pint? Well, I don't drink, but if you do, you should absolutely imbibe.
It's past noon, sure.
It's past noon somewhere. High voltage. No, I'm sorry. Shane H. Wilder says, "Is that Lord of the Rings if it were on UPN?" Yes. Robert James says, "If CBS and Star Trek can rip off every character design, plot, and story from Anis Abdin's video game Talagrades for Discovery Season 1, get sued, and still come out on top, then Yellowstone is fine." I did not know about that, but thank you. I was reading about a lawsuit from the movie Coming to America back in the 80s that I guess a political columnist wrote like a treatment for it, sold it to Paramount, and then basically they didn't do it. Like it was in like production hell forever. They didn't do it. He went and brought it to Warner Brothers, and then Paramount basically made the movie anyways and credited Eddie Murphy as like the writer on it, and then the guy sued and made a crap ton of money off of him.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
Yep. Shane H. Wilder says, boo for the crisis party. Yeah, well, it happens. Usually when something... So, we just got lucky it didn't happen during the Dolly Parton segment. Otherwise, it almost always happens at the most inappropriate time you can possibly imagine. BLW says, Snyder needs to do a standalone Batman Beyond. I think it's time to just let it go.
Yeah.
High voltage...
Wouldn't mind Batman Beyond, but...
I mean, if they're gonna bring Ben Affleck back, that's about the best he can do right now because he's getting up there. High Voltage 75 says, Steph, do you like Bob Dylan's music?
I've never listened to a Bob Dylan song.
The smartest woman to ever come on the show. This is. If you want to continue living a life, free of pain and suffering, you should continue that streak forever because Bob Dylan sucks.
Oh, okay.
I'm on my own one-man jihad against Bob Dylan. That's just me. Because, look, you guys wouldn't take me being warbly and boring, or at least that boring during stream. Why would you accept it from your music? It's just stupid. All right. Guys, before we go, would you all please hit the like button on this episode and subscribe to the channel. If you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. Steph, where can they find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Instagram, and Twitter, all at the same handle, My Nerdy Home.
Perfect. Shane H. Wilder says the boo was to scare Steph for the crisis party. Well, it scared me this time because I was mid-sentence. Usually it doesn't scare me. It's usually somebody else talking when all of that stuff goes on. So, all right, guys, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and I'm on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, which is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Also, I want to draw your attention. I will have a special bonus Saturday premiere episode coming up. I am going to be having a conversation with Kinsey Schofield, who reports on the Royals. She reports on Meghan Markle. She reports on all that stuff. But more importantly, for a lot of years, she was like a Hollywood press tour person. She held a lot of interviews with famous celebrities. So we are going to have a discussion about why Hollywood press tours suck these days and why celebrities just can't seem to master the art of actually promoting their movies the right way, which is going to be a lot of fun to have that discussion. Look for that on Saturday night at 7 p.m. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show. Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. One last super chat here from Pop Culture Junkie. The Art Buchwald Coming to America case is taught in most IP and copyright law courses. Yes, I did talk about I did a separate segment on the Taylor Sheridan stuff that addressed the Art Buchwald stuff. It was very interesting. So, yeah. All right, guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see you guys then. Bye, everybody.